Welcome to Addspower. In this video I'm going to take you back in time. I'm going to replace the fuel pump in the Classic Mini. It's an in-tank unit. It just started kind of cutting out on me. The fuse for the fuel pump was blowing, so I knew something was up. It's the original pump as far as I'm aware. So I'll show you what I did, how I took the tank out, how I took the pump out, all the fuel out of the tank, and then we'll come back to present day. And I'll put fuel in it and check the fuel gauge. So a bit of a disclaimer, I am a DIYer here. Really I make these videos just to try and show you what I've done. I see in sort of various forums, you know, did it this way or that way. Sometimes it's just good to see physically what it looks like, and just sort of follow someone who's never done it before, you know, the experiences I have. So, you know, this isn't professional DIY advice here, or well, even professional advice I should say, but you know, hopefully this helps you. Right, let's get on with it. Okay, so how are we going to drain the tank? Well, I'm fortunate that the pump is still actually going. It's still got a bit of life in it, hasn't totally just died. So I'm going to use a tip I got from Classic Mini Workshop. Great YouTube channel. The chap who runs it, you know, what he doesn't know about minis is probably not worth knowing, but he's done an MPI, and in essence what he recommended to do was to bridge the rear heated window circuit. So if you go to the fuse box cover, you see the bottom left, C9, bridge the positive of that to the positive of the fuel pump circuit. And I've just made up a little bridging wire, these two sort of thin terminals. And the idea is when you turn on the car and then put the heated rear window on like that, it'll activate the fuel pump and turn on the ignition, and you've got the fuel pump running constantly. So we're going to give that a go. But yeah, thank you. And the good thing is it's still on the positive side of the fuse, so you know it's still fused. Well, at least I believe so. But anyway, let's get on with it. So we're now draining the fuel into the tank. It's just stopped, so obviously the fuel, maybe the fuse has gone again, but we'll replace the fuse and keep going. This is a fuse circuit, by the way. So I've replaced the fuse, it's back and going again. It's going in quite nicely. Oh, brilliant, get fuel over the floor. But you can see there, it's coming along quite nicely now. So we'll fill these jerry cans up, get the tank as empty as we can, then we can lift it out. Right, so now that all the fuel's drained out, I've started taking the tank out. So first of all, just removed all the pipes in the top. I just had Jubilee clips holding them on, so that was easy. You then have this retaining strap, just held on by this long bolt. Take that out. Make sure you're unplugged. This is your level sender, and that's the pump, so that's all unplugged. So I think we're ready. Just got to pull this fuel line off. There we go. So we're good to go. So then I'll remove the cap and we'll start wiggling this thing, see if we can get the thing out of the car. Right, so excuse the sandals, but this is Addspower. They are comfy. So I had this tank out about 2 years ago. I did the subframe, so I know what I'm doing. I say I know what I'm doing. I did it 2 years ago, so I sort of remember it. Let's not pretend I'm competent here. So it's just all about jiggling it. Obviously you don't want to damage anything. And what's happening now is the neck is pulling through the rubber grommet on the side of the car. It's just all about clearing that, really. There we go. So it's nice and light. Obviously I've got the fuel out. Let's try and figure out how to actually get this thing out without actually damaging anything. There we go. Okay, something's still attached. Oh, that's a shame. I thought I'd actually got that. Right, I will remove this breather pipe and then you will join me and we'll take the pump out. Okay, it's the moment of truth. Got everything out the way. This little assembly here just sort of clipped on over, so I just popped that off. Didn't need to see that on camera. Right. Here we are. Now, I was expecting it to be much dirtier than that. You know, you see these things, they look like they've been underneath the sea. But that's quite clean, isn't it? Let's just get this tank out of the way. Let's put that there. I'll just put this tank somewhere. Okay, so very clean looking actually. I'm quite pleased with that. A little bit sediment in the pickup, but yeah, I mean, there's nothing really to say this was on its way out, but clearly it was. So yeah, so what we'll do is unplug it here, and looks like these wires are in very good order. I was going to replace them, but I don't see why really. It all looks very clean. If you can see that. So I think I'll leave those. You've got to apparently trim them and put some new terminals on, but yeah, I mean, it almost looks like it's a new pump, but this gasket's in really good order. I bought a new gasket, but to be honest, I don't actually think I need to replace it. This is really soft. I might just replace it anyway, just because, you know, it's fuel, isn't it? You don't want fuel going in your car, but yeah. Right, let's take it apart. For those of you intrigued what the inside of the tank looks like, there you go. So very clean on this example. There's the sender. It's all very clean. There is something in the bottom there, which I'll try and get out. I'm not sure what that is. But tiny bit of brilliant cam work here. Tiny bit of sediment, if you can see that. We'll wash that out. But yeah, very clean. I'm happy with that. Okay, so this is the new kit. So you can see this is the old pump. This is the new pump. So they are slightly different. So you can see on the end here, obviously you've got this plug there. So you're going to have to cut that off. These are just terminals. So we're going to need to crimp on 2 new terminals. Mount this in here. There's a new end filter. And then I'm imagining what I'm going to have to do is just, it comes with a little bit of pipe. So probably have to cut this a little bit with a hacksaw. Just put the pipe on the end, just try and sort of give the pump some room really. And that's how you do it. And there's a little grommet to fit it into the end. So we're going to have a go at that. See how we get on. Okay, so I've cut the fuel pipe down. So what I elected to do was cut a bit off the end here. There's like this little shoulder which is pressed onto it. There's nothing actually holding the fuel pump in, apart from, if you actually look at the original, it's kind of pushed down by the pipe. So I thought, press this grommet in there like that. So that's seated. And then sort of angle it so that, to do this on camera, so it's like that, little gap. And then there's enough there to sort of put the pipe on. It's hard to convey this on the camera without the thing falling to bits. But in essence, put the pipe over like that, and it will just hold the pump in. What I did, I used a sort of small hacksaw to cut the pipe, and then just ran some WD-40 through it just to get any bits out. But it cut really cleanly, so that's all nice and clean. So we'll get the pump mounted up, and then we'll do the wiring. Okay, so I've mounted the pump. So you can see there, just that little bit of a cut on the pipe. Got the rubber pipe over there nicely, and then I cut off, so you can see actually at the bottom, it's just resting nicely in its seat. And then when I get the tank back, you just press this on the end, and then I cut the plug off, and then just fitted two terminals on there. The actual pump, you can't actually see in this light, but there's a little positive and negative symbol embossed on it, so you know which way to wire it up. And then just make sure the wires aren't too taut, and that's good to go. So what I'm going to do is just test it's all working. I'm going to plug it in, turn the car on, just check the pump actually buzzes. If we get a buzz, I know it's good to go, and I'll mount it back in the tank and put it all back together. Okay, so we've got the pump all connected up. Let's turn the car on. We should hear it buzz. Brilliant. Brilliant. So that worked, just an absolute treat. So happy with that. Let's put the pump into the tank and get this thing back together. So before I put any fuel in, I just want to check what the gauge is saying. So bang on empty, below the red. So I know that is, you know, that's what the gauge reads when it's absolutely empty. When it's full, it's kind of just below the F on the left hand side. You can just see, put my finger down. There we go. See the F? So it reads just below there when it's bang on full. So I know, you know, when I'm driving this thing, I can actually drive it up to the red and there'll still be some reserve in there. Right, let's put 5 litres in and see what the gauge does. Right, so the 5 litres are in. Let's turn the ignition on and see what happens. That gauge basically hasn't moved at all. So maybe a tiny bit. So we know even with 5 litres in, it's reading empty. Right, let's try and start the car, shall we? Because there is a bit of fuel in. And before I put too much fuel in, I want to make sure this thing actually goes. I heard the fuel pump prime. Bit of cranking. Probably to get the fuel through. So let it settle a bit. Might need a bit more fuel. Let's try again. There we go. Turn it off again. You can hear the fuel pump going. I would expect it to start by now, so I'm a bit concerned. Might have a flat battery. Right, let's charge the battery and then go again. So, what a relief, the thing's going. So just to start with, that's about 8 or 9 litres of fuel in the tank. It's still not even on the red, so shows how much reserve I've got when it goes down to the red. But anyway, cut a long story short, I took the fuel supply line off the pump again and just pumped fuel back into the can like I did at the start of the video, and fuel pump was running fine, plenty of fuel coming through. So I knew that wasn't the problem. I was worried that it was backwards or wired backwards or something. Anyway, took all that off, plumbed the original fuel pipe back in, went to start it, started up straight away. So there must be must have been an airlock or something. So that's it. So just like to say thank you for watching. This is all running quite happily, so really pleased. So thanks again, take care.